Billionaires, not million, billionaires in America. You know what they pay in federal taxes on average? 8%. How many of you want to, if I had a deal, said, okay, no matter what you do, you only have to pay 8%, raise your hand. You'd take it in the heartbeat, right? Well, they pay a lower...
I think the country should start even preparing for an economic strain once the payments resume. But the Education Department previously estimated that the pause put about an extra $5 billion back into borrowers' bank pockets, giving them more economic freedom to not only buy a car, house, or big other expense, but to also leave their jobs in pursuit of better opportunities. Finding disruption, I'm hopeful we can get to $3.49 between Halloween and Thanksgiving. He also added that there's an outside chance the national average reaches a low of $3.29. There's no major hurricane in the Gulf Coast or more refinery outages. However, analysts also warned the decline could slow temporarily and even turn higher in some areas like California and the Midwest. Prices were already rising recently in those areas as well. The least expensive states for gas are in the South. Drivers are paying an average of $3.26 for a gallon of gas in Texas and Arkansas, and some states continue to see much higher prices like California, where the average is $5.26 a gallon, and Nevada at $4.84. The U.S. exported nearly 10 million barrels of oil and refined products last week, according to the U.S. Energy Information Administration. Exports of gas totaled 1 million barrels a day for the week. Everybody, Joe Biden's new Inflation Act is now offering up to $14,000 in additional financial assistance to many low-income families. There are over 70 Democratic lawmakers that are urging Congress to step up to the plate and pass legislation that would actually prevent a government shutdown. Joe Biden's Inflation Reduction Act on climate change is helping many Americans reduce their carbon footprint. A key element in that push is offering up to $14,000 in rebates and tax credits for people to make their homes more energy efficient. Those benefits can be used to lower the cost of home upgrades, ranging from installing heat pumps to buying new electric purchases, and like stoves and dryers. About 40% of carbon emissions stems from buildings, and so these incentives can actually help the U.S. achieve its goal of lowering fossil fuel emissions. According to experts, this gives people some very concrete and generous incentives to do that, both in the form of tax credits and direct cash rebates. CBS News has said that it is the biggest federal investment in buildings ever, at least one that is specified for climate change. There are two separate rebate programs. The Homes Rebate Program provides more than $4 billion in states to help residents make their entire home more energy efficient, and the program provides rebate based on the energy savings they upgrade their home in. And now, for instance, homeowners that make changes that cut their energy usage by at least 35% can get up to $4,000 in rebates. That amount is doubled for low and middle income households who can get $8,000 in rebates. High Efficiency Electric Home Rebate Act provides rebate for low and middle income families to electrify their home, like installing heat pumps or electric clothes dryers. The per household rebate is capped at $14,000, and households cannot receive two rebates for the same upgrade. The Homes Rebate Program would cover upgrades from solar panels to new windows that help your home become more energy efficient. The other program designates rebates for specific appliances and purchases and other upgrades. One of the consumers and one of the most appealing rebates is a provision that is offering up to $8,000 for heat pumps, and this provides air and conditioning as heating.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So in March, the SEC proposed a climate risk disclosure rule that takes a big step toward increasing the efficiency of the economy and of financial markets.
A 2020 report, which looked at fiscal years 2014 and 2018, found that 48,000 Americans had to file for bankruptcy as they waited a final decision on their disability appeals. Meanwhile, 110,000 Americans during the same time period died during that time. Experts say that more cuts to SSA will result in a rapid increase of wait times and force SSA to make some difficult changes that people don't want to see happen. But now, aside from Social Security, lawmakers could be facing a budget shutdown this fall over a number of issues. For example, Republicans in the House Appropriations Committee are proposing a cut to fund Social Security, federal student aid, office at a time when student loan payments are resuming over a 3-year pause. Some Democratic lawmakers have already called on top appropriation lawmakers to consider increasing funding for the agency. And some Democrats also think that Social Security should see a similar influx in spending. Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, for instance, have repeatedly introduced a bill that will bolster Social Security checks by $2,400, which would be subsidized by upping taxes on the wealthy. Senator Sanders, in a statement Our job is to expand Social Security so that every senior in America can retire with dignity that they deserve, and every person with a disability can live with the security they need. Republican presidential candidates are also announcing support for changes to Social Security for the millennials and the younger generations. But now, AARP predicted that if the trust fund is depleted, the program would only be able to pay about 70%, 80% of the benefits so far. This is not good, everybody. And what do you think Joe Biden will do for the people of America? Is he going to send out the stimulus checks in 2023? Can he get the job done? Tell me what you think in the comments down below. We got 10 minutes with the fourth stimulus check, everybody. Social Security benefits, SSI and SDI. Continue to watch this video because you don't want to miss out on this. As inflation continues to go forward, well, shoppers are finally getting some relief at the grocery store. Rising food prices have been the biggest drivers of inflation since 2020, with a combination of labor shortages and supply chains setting grocery bills to spike like crazy. A big part of the grocery price jump came from eggs, which were in short supply for much of the year. And the sharp rise in grocery prices over the last few years has sometimes challenged the conventional wisdom that it's cheaper to eat meals at home rather than out at restaurants. And while the prices that consumers actually pay depend on where they choose to shop and dine out, new data actually shows prices for food at the home rose for the American people. Now, there has been no shortage, everybody, of Republican lawmakers bickering over Social Security in recent weeks because, as Republicans and Democrats have pointed out, fingers over which party wants to fix the program and which one wants to undermine it. Well, there are several problems with this. Because during a Senate Finance Committee hearing, the Senate Republicans accused the Treasury Secretary of lying about President Biden's willingness to work with lawmakers on Social Security reform. That followed a similar exchange between Republican Mitt Romney and Shalanda Young. Now, in a separate hearing, Romney said that she was simply wrong and not honest to suggest that current members of Congress want to cut off Social Security and Medicare. With so much hostility between the political parties, it's hard to see any hope of bipartisan Social Security reform that is. The only solution with even a whiff of bipartisan support is a proposal to raise this full retirement age for Social Security beneficiaries. That proposal announced last month is being pushed by the Cassidy senators and the Louisiana Republican and also the Senator Angus King, a Maine independent who caucuses with Democrats. The two are leading a group of legislators that aim to raise the full retirement age 70 to 67. Raising the full retirement age is seen as one of the ways to lessen the impact of the coming insolvency of Social Security's old age and survivors insurance, which finances about 20 to a quarter % of Social Security benefits. That is, the fund is expected to run out of money by the middle of the decade, meaning that Social Security will have to rely solely on payroll taxes for funding. That could be a big problem that people run into. Now, raising the full retirement age isn't a good idea for so many people too, because it does have bipartisan support among the registered voters, and though not necessarily raising all